are at the brink of things. Can you guys feel this? No longer are we the strange group, man. It's the rest of the world that's tripping. Am I right? I'm going to say this right now, and I mean this. I want to introduce my good friend to you, Mr. Corey Good. Corey, get it up here.
Thank you. Is this a sign? Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate everyone that's like.
Personally, I think this is a strengthening education about what all has happened around this, what was just going to be the first photo of a orange-gray hand and a head. The head is still a question mark, even in Earthfile Support's mind. He's very analytical and very critical, and he did a side-by-side comparison in which it is very true that the eye pattern in the, we'll call it the alleged real photo, versus the 3D created head, the eyes do not match. And you can do an examination and make a comparison, and you will see that. But that does not mean that there isn't a real extraterrestrial, sort of orangish-gray being or civilization or species that looks exactly like that photo. And as Buddy pointed out, that's counter-intel.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome. I am broadcasting from the Apocalypse Cabin, so the normal rules of that apply. We were going to broadcast at our usual time at 9 p.m., but there is a snow and ice storm on the hourly weather forecast coming in any minute now. And as I'd mentioned before, while I'm here, ice storms especially knock out the internet and probably power. So should I de-res from the stream and not return after about 5 minutes, that probably means that we've lost either internet or power or both. So just fair warning. We return tonight, and by the way, I'm at the cabin because everyone in my house is sick and has been sick on and off. My children have been sick quite a lot in the past 2 or 3 weeks, both home from school days. And then my wife got sick and just decided to take some time off and care for the children and stay home herself. So everybody in my house is sick. My wife sort of threw me out to come to the cabin. I'll be here all week. But the good news is that I should make major progress on the bathroom. I'm trying desperately to finish that, and I will also be, the other reason that I decided to move the show earlier is I have to go to this other land that's about 4 miles away from here tomorrow and sort of set up a base camp there. We're going to be putting a tent in and a fire pit and sort of cleaning up the land, staking the corners of the property. I've got a 300-foot measuring tape. And so I need all the daylight I can for that. So, yeah, so that's why I'm here. That's why things have changed this week. But we roll with the punches. Like I said, the broadcast may get, borked. But if it does, it does, and we'll pick things up when the internet and power returns here. Now, we last left you talking about the deceptive duo, which of course would be Jimmy Church and Linda Moulton Howe. And they're back. They are back. And Linda has all new fake stories for you and me and everyone. And Jimmy just sits there and lets her tell provably fake stories. So we're going to go and listen in on more of this exchange between the two of them, with Jimmy Church fluffering her. we got through almost an hour of it last time, so I'm going to put my fair use banner up. We want to welcome everyone into the live chat. Glad to see so many people, especially not at our usual time slot. And probably probably this whole week shows will be at 7 p.m. this week. We'll see how that works for us. I need the daylight. It gets dark at about 7 p.m. here now in the mountains, so I need every minute of daylight to be outside as much as possible. Yeah, so we're going to put my fair use banner up. This, of course, is the transformative work. We're educating the public, offering commentary, and critiquing the video that we are sharing. This is certainly covered under fair use and is allowable by law. We have won every false copyright claim and strike against our channel in the past 2 or 3 years. We have excellent lawyer letters standing by, so if you would like a strike on your channel for falsely copyright striking us, when we are perfectly within the bounds of fair use to do this, then feel free. Some of you may know that Jimmy Church is one of the people who falsely copyright striked us, a hard strike. But we filed our appeal and won, and I believe the strike reverted to him. So if he would like another strike for falsely copyright claiming us, see these clowns do not like people pointing out the obvious. So they try to step all over free speech, just as they do in their comments, just as they do in their live chats, because they have to live in a delusion bubble. And they can't have their audience hearing real or valid questions about the garbage stories that they are shoveling down their audience's throats. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Jimmy Church does not care about his audience. If he did, he would do a little better of a job and not host so many people who are literally running scams that they can promote and find more victims in his audience. He would not do that if he cared about his audience, but he continually does it. Let's see, David Wilcock, Corey Good, Jason Shirka. We've got the fake psychic selling medbed sessions through a Stargate, Sarah R. Adams, and of course, Linda Moulton Howe, who continually sells completely and totally fake stories. We've caught her several times. See our previous coverage on this. So we're going to welcome in the live chat. See you all out there. Good to see everybody is finding their way here, even though we're completely in a different time than usual. This is, I had a choice between I was going to take the whole rest of the week off. It has been one thing after another at our house, and I think my wife was like, just go to the cabin. Everybody's sick. I'll stay home. I'm sick too. Interestingly, I'm the only one who hasn't gotten sick, and usually I'm the first one to get it, right? I'm hoping that whatever germs are around are going to be gone by the time I get back. So, yeah, yeah, we're hearing. Robert C. says, the time slot is good for UK viewers. Well, consider this one for you people from across the pond, right? And King of Hugo Mundo says, Stephen been bringing the heat. That's why they fear him. Yeah, and despite people saying I'm not a journalist, I know how to do things like, I don't know, fact check, right? I know how to do things like, look up information or check somebody's military credentials. And these people, they don't know how to do any of that, or they pretend they don't know how to do any of that so that they can very conveniently sell 100% completely provably fake stories. And, I am just fascinated. I am fascinated by the fact that this Linda Moulton Howe has been caught selling 100% provably fake stories multiple times now. We have caught her several times selling 100% provably fake stories as true stories. And I am just fascinated by the fact that she's still making tens of thousands of dollars in speaker fees, right? She's going to speak at all these big conferences. She gets a big fat check for that, like 10 grand. So I guess the lesson is, if you want to be a speaker at Contact in the Desert or Conscious Life Expo, all you have to do is jam 100% provably fake stories down the throats of the audience for years, and you too can get those big gigs for 10 grand or 20 grand for one appearance. And yeah, all you have to do is sell your soul, be willing to lie every day of your life, right? This woman is very, very, very educated. And despite my constant criticism of her, the one thing I am sure of is that she's not a stupid person. She was very, very well educated, right? She went to college. She knows how to vet things. She knows how to fact check. She knows how to do that stuff. She just chooses not to, because if she did, she wouldn't have the fake sources that she has been using for years to sell this. Yeah, I really don't know. Somebody told me he managed a guitar center. Yeah. So, yeah, ever see the quality of the people who work at Guitar Center? Well, I shouldn't say that. I know one guy that works at Guitar Center is a great guitar player, but otherwise. All right, we're going to get into this. Yeah, and we've got another hour of this to go through. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, because it's just the bull starts to pile up in my brain, and I start losing it.
They told me, one of the men that I was talking to, he said, we know this cannot be human. And
more alien stories from another anonymous source. In our previous coverage, we have pointed out she used several anonymous sources. So I think we're up to 3 completely anonymous sources telling her stuff about aliens, which she then just blindly repeats with no evidence, no backup. Great.
we would like to ask you if you would report to us how many cases you find in which specific molars are missing in the teeth, because we have not reported this. We have not let any media know in Canada about the missing teeth. And we have seen your film, your documentary, A Strange Harvest, and we know that you are reporting what we have concluded.
What is people showing up with missing teeth? Or is she talking about cows with missing teeth? And does anybody else think that Linda Moulton Howe wouldn't take a pair of pliers to a dead cow and pull out some teeth so she could have a story to sell? I sure do. I could imagine her doing that.
But we don't want it to be public. They said those words to me. And they said, so if you would agree to let us know if you are finding missing molars, we are building a case that is happening here in the Calgary region. And we would like to know if you find it in Colorado or other cases. So this was an example of where the law enforcement side of it is saying to an investigative reporter.
Yeah, and again, all anonymous sources. We want to thank Scott Nicholson for kind and generous £1.99. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. 1 second. Oh, geez. Don't you hate it when something starts playing and you don't know where it's coming from? Great. Yeah, 1 second. Let me make sure that okay, so we have Scott Nicholson with a kind and generous £1.99. Thank you. Hi from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Love the show. And we're thankful for you, your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Much, much appreciated. Thanks for helping us to praise the cash. And by the way, speaking of praising the cash, I have to make a decision about whether or not to continue to use my son, who I think it was 2 years ago, helped me make some bumpers where he thanks people and says, praise the cash. Because some old bag is complaining about that again. Some old bag who gives money to a proven liar hoaxer, right, is complaining that I use my son in the cash clown as a cash clown. But we have looked into the laws concerning all that, because, you know, when they have no attack vector, they find something, right? So somebody once said it was illegal for me to use my son on my show because I have an adult show and this and that. Those bumpers are pre-recorded, and my son has no idea what's going on the show. They were pre-recorded on a green screen with him in a costume, and I'm teaching him the value of working for things. He wanted some expensive toys. I said, you have to learn to work for things. So we gave him some extra chores and things like that. Now somebody is complaining about that while she's giving money to somebody who we have caught lying to their audience 100 times in the past year, right? She made some nasty comment, some old bitch grandma, right? And it's amazing to me that they're going to attack my family, right? Why? Because I caught the show host whose balls you've been licking for the past 2 years. I caught him lying to everyone. I caught him hoaxing. I made him look like the fool that he is. And now you're angry. So you're going to attack me and my family for nothing. We're not doing anything wrong. But we're going to revisit that issue. And for now, I am not using them. But we did previously look up all the laws. Look, there are children on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. There are children on Conan O'Brien and other late night adult television shows. They just don't expose them to adult language or situations, and then therefore it is completely legal and moral and ethical to do so. And you know, the fact that I may have to upset my son and tell my son that he can't be on the show anymore because of some old bitter old lady, right? Some bitter old lady who, by the way, is running a GoFundMe scam right now, begging for money so that she could give money to UFO scammers like tonight's show people, right? It's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous that this is even an issue, but since let's see, I don't cheat on my wife. I don't abuse women. I don't have like skeletons in my closet for these assholes to pull out and gotcha me with. So they're going to pick whatever they're going to pick. And by the way, if you are running a GoFundMe scam so that you can give money to UFO scammers at a UFO conference, then you're a piece of shit. All right. Now that I've got that off my chest, let's continue with our analysis.
And TV producer, help us get track of physical evidence that is highly strange, but let's not report it so that we don't have people muddying the waters by attacking. And I experienced a lot of that eventually, where I would get phone calls from people who say, we've seen your reporting. We know that you are doing honest work. We understand the details.
Yeah, somebody goes to her and says,
X.
oh, we got to stop this. Who goes to Linda Moulton Howe and says, we know you're doing really good, honest work? Stupid people. Stupid people who don't know her history of literally scamming the public with fake pictures of aliens. Must be stupid sources, anonymous sources.
Y and Z, but we will not talk to you on camera. That also happened a lot. And then eventually, when HBO came to
imaginary
me
people don't like to go on camera.
They wanted to do a document,
right? Imaginary anonymous sources. Imagine that. Her imaginary anonymous sources won't go on camera or reveal their names, right? So how do we even know these people exist? Or is she just talking to her imaginary friends, talking about aliens?
Me contract with them that I would do a documentary for HBO broadcast about not just animal mutilations, the whole bigger picture.
Story. This is the I was ready to go with an HBO documentary and the Men in Black came and stopped that story. She's told this story 1,000 times. No verification, no evidence that not any of this ever happened or the Men in Black were, threatening HBO not to make a documentary, but she tells this story all the time.
That UFO is the ET factor, and I wrote a script. A whole script with scenes. That's something that I've always been able to do, so that the people putting up the money at HBO could see what I would do. They loved the script, and I start working. Have signed a contract, and what happens? I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and they all get blocked. And that is now the story where I went back to New York to.
Oh no! 1 second. All right, I had to tweet this show out again. Not our usual time. So yeah, the Men in Black stopped her documentary.
Talk about what I was learning with Peter Gersten and Richard Doty and these people about going to an air base where there had been mutilations, a UFO landing, something that looked like lasers, and that we would recreate.
Aliens and lasers. And hey, nothing says credible like using a known paid government disinformation agent in the form of Richard Doty as a source for your documentary.
And that that I would be also shown and allowed to use film.
By the way, Richard Doty has told me that essentially he loved messing with people like Linda Moulton Howe. He used to leak her completely 100% fake stories that he just made up, and she would run with them on her Earth Files website. That should tell you something about her vetting skills and her discernment abilities. He's messing with her, just feeding her total nonsense about aliens, and she would write whole blog posts about, you know, what he said and put it on her, and he just made up stuff.
Of a Holloman Air Force Base landing, pre-arranged, April.
Oh, this is the Eisenhower met with aliens story again.
April 25th, 1964, and that I would be allowed to show film of the disc landing and a large-nosed, ropey-headed dressed ET coming out of a craft, meeting with a science type and military types.
Well, maybe it's not Eisenhower. Her story is slightly different.
And an exchange of which we gave back dead bodies to them, and they gave us technology. And you know that that's the Emmenegger story, that there are lots of facets of it, but I'm going all the way back to March of 1983. All of.
And we want to thank James 4488 for a kind and generous £2. We've got a lot of English people in the live chat tonight. Must be the earlier time zone, a little bit easier on them. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and helping us to praise the cash. It's great. These people can make tens of thousands of dollars lying to you. It's nice that you know, people will support us giving you the truth.
Was told to me that I would be able to tell in this film. And then all of it gets blocked. And that was where HBO said, unless you can bring us the President of the United States, the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense, all of these people, we cannot authorize funding. You can continue.
Or maybe she had weak, shaky evidence, most of which came from a known paid government disinformation agent, and they did not want to waste money producing a documentary full of fake stories. So they wanted her to get real on-the-record sources. You know, there's two sides to every story. I don't believe her that the Men in Black got involved. Look, Jimmy Church looks like he's falling asleep. So am I. This lady is telling the same stories she's been telling for 20 years.
Work, but we will not authorize funding unless you can bring to us top government confirmation of the UFOs, the ETs being real. In other words, they wanted the whole enchilada broken open.
Robert
Linda, they wanted something from the White House, didn't they? I mean, they want
a confirmation of the story. They didn't want you making a documentary about a fake story. And we thank Robert C. for a £2, another English person. Boy, we're going to do these 7 o'clock ones, right? More often. We've got all you English people throwing a couple bucks in our hat. Thank you, Robert C., for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. And let me just catch up to the live chat and make sure that we're not missing anybody else. For those unaware, we read every single super chat and thank every one of you. And thank you, Robert C., for helping us to praise the cash.
An official break. Right. They wanted what you, I, and everybody who's going to be at Parapod, everybody who's going to be at Portal to Ascension, everybody who's going to be at Contact in the Desert and was at Conscious Life. We want the truth out. We want the whole planet to know what I and a few others have been hearing behind the scenes, so to speak, from people in military and in government and in medicine and in aerospace who have been telling me for 44 years, extraterrestrial biological entities have been manipulating DNA in already evolving species on this planet for at least, and then that's where you can draw the line at 45,000 years for Neanderthal to Cro-Magnon, or wherever you want to draw the line. Genetic manipulation of life forms on this laboratory Earth is one story.
Yeah, I read it.
Which
did you put another one in?
non-humans are the controllers of various experiments? That's a whole nother huge facet.
Good point, Valcor.
The relationship of power
This is
brokers in
ridiculous.
the evolution of
This
Earth.
is ridiculous. So basically, she got upset because she tried to make a documentary, and it sounds like she didn't have actual proof or verifiable evidence, as usual. So HBO canceled the project, and to her, that's the government covering everything up somehow. It has nothing to do with the fact that maybe they wanted her to show proof or evidence, right?
Going back to
So
the
stupid.
time of Mesopotamia, going back as far as the Anunnaki, coming forward, those were power brokers that would be in the category of
Yeah, you're
other
right, Valcor.
intelligence
Same old story.
that were interacting with and manipulating DNA on a planet that has been used as a laboratory to create many different species.
Oh, a Scotsman.
Jump
well,
to
thank you, Robert C.
Linda,
I wanna go to Scotland
1979
someday.
to today. The animal mutilations, from the best information that I could possibly describe, they have been the harvest of fluids and tissues in order to provide specific
retro nut job. Yes.
Let's just say ingredients, whether it's fluid or tissue, ingredients that are sustenance for a particular gray type.
Yeah,
and that
I got your message.
there are all kinds of needs. And that
Occasionally, people will sort of try to figure out, like, what are my motives, or am I a paid CIA disinformation agent? And what I would say is, if I am, I'm not getting the checks, you know. And why do you care so much, Stephen, that these people are running around selling fake stories? I guess I care because I don't like seeing people lying to people and taking advantage of people. These people are lying to people, and they are taking advantage of their entire audiences with provably fake stories. I think that's wrong and worthy of discussion. And so we discuss it. And we want to thank Matthew Brown for a kind and generous £3 super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, helping us to praise the cash. And thanks as well for being a member. We appreciate all of our members, and it really does help the show. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We'll continue with our journey of the deceptive duo.
With a lot of different intelligences, and that our planet has been a laboratory, a place where thousands and thousands and thousands of genetic manipulations could be done in order to make different life forms.
Look at how bored Jimmy Church looks. He looks like he could care less what the hell is she saying. He's just like, get the fake story out, Linda, for my stupid audience members who are dumb enough to believe you. She's making some absolutely fantastical claims. We're being visited by multiple different species, multiple intelligences. And what is her evidence of that? Somebody told her. An anonymous source told her.
And that we are only waking up in now the 22nd century, as if the next big break open, I hope, will be the Webb telescope being used to report a biological signature.
Oh, by the way, she's saying that Webb already detected intelligent life on other planets, but they're hiding it from us. But they're going to be making an announcement soon. And she's encouraging people to go to a UFO conference she'll be talking about this at, and the announcement should come while she's at the UFO conference, conveniently. So you want to be there to be with like-minded people when the announcement that intelligent life on other exoplanets has been detected. We called the James Webb Telescope and asked them if they I actually did this. We called the organization in charge of that, and they don't know what she's talking about. And I think that's amazing, right? Oh, but the Men in Black must be, right? It's a cover-up. She's got the truth, and all the people that work on the James Webb Telescope are lying to everyone. Sure, Linda.
And that if they will just start getting into biological signatures and let that lead to what our government has known since World War II.
Let me
Terrestrial biological entities have been on this planet in this solar
Yes,
system for at
gullible
least
anonymous
278 million years. And we are the babies just waking up.
So what's the update with TRAPPIST-1?
Well, it was two
I
full
try to
years
fact check
ago.
these clowns.
Was the first communication that I had through an aerospace
Thanks,
source.
Arden, for sharing that.
Let me put the date. I can't quite remember when it unfurled. It probably wasn't full 2 years. This was a statement to me when we were getting ready to launch Webb, and then more information after. But I've known about the use of it for quite a while.
Yes.
It
is a verifiable fact that some military programs have tested wildlife in areas of radiation tests. They want to see how the animals are faring, what are the radiation levels in their cell structures and things like that. How has that radiation affected them on a long-term or short-term basis? And you are correct, Mike. She leaves that out. That is the lie by omission. Why bother with things like facts and evidence? Just go right to aliens, right? Couldn't have been military testing those animals. Couldn't have been military pulling certain organs that have that are affected by radiation. Couldn't be that. It's got to be aliens. It's got to be the aliens, right? And you just leave out that part of the very likely explanation for some of those cattle mutilations, because the military doing radiation tests doesn't sell. Aliens harvesting organs, a strange harvest, that sells, right? And by the way, many of the people that she quotes in that strange harvest have essentially said, I never said that. She basically played fast and loose with a lot of quotes from people in authority, things that she says they said that they later said, I didn't say that. I didn't say it was aliens, right? Because it's all framed to sell the story. And the story is aliens are mutilating cows for whatever goddamn reason, right?
Wanted to see if they could have the Webb, everything would be operational. And then ultimately, the idea was that they would be able to report, there was a recent report just in the last week or so, planetary atmospheres, and that they could then use the Webb with its ability, its advanced ability, to aim at certain solar systems, and that they would be able to discuss what would be atmospheres around planets. That was one of the hopes that Webb would be able to do. If what I was told is that Webb would be able to also
Robert C says she's wearing her
if there
Antarctic
were
sweater.
Biological signatures in the climate atmosphere, the atmospheric constituents around a planet. Now, a biological signature doesn't mean that it's a humanoid. A biological signature would be the first confirmation of something that we would put in the category of biological life.
I agree.
That they still have not reported even on Mars, right?
Mm-hmm.
She leaves that out.
They come up and say, this looks like the way a fungi would work or this, but nothing has been put into even biological signature on Mars. TRAPPIST.
That's because there's no known biological signatures on Mars has been discovered yet. There's a lot of theories that there was once life on Mars.
Information that came to me, I think of it as 2 full years ago. It may not be quite that far back. That Webb, they knew that TRAPPIST has these 7 planets, 7 Earth-like planets, and that the 4th one from the sun has water watery and rocky substances very much like Earth. And that I have had other sources.
This is sort of like the prover maneuver. She puts out one piece of actual or real or verifiable truth, and then she's going to stack her alien stories on top of that one piece as if it somehow makes the alien stories true as well.
Who said they already know that there is a civilization interacting with or has bases on in the TRAPPIST system.
Now, who said that? Nobody from the world of science or in charge of the James Webb Telescope ever said that there are bases on exoplanets in the TRAPPIST system. Where is she getting that? Is she just making this shit up? Because nobody from them said that.
And that what Webb could do, pure science. We get breaking news, atmosphere on X planet at the TRAPPIST-1 solar system, very Earth-like planet, and it is showing a biological signature.
And by the way, I would love for an announcement like that to be made. But I wonder, where is she getting this information from about bases and civilizations on those planets? The Webb telescope, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know how or why they could detect civilization on an exoplanet. They could detect signatures like water or rocky, minerals on a planet, perhaps in the atmosphere. There's various ways that they have done that. The colors that they are able to detect. Sometimes they can detect if an atmosphere of an exoplanet is rich in different elements like oxygen or carbon dioxide. But to detect a civilization with it, I don't know. But she claims they've already detected civilizations, intelligent civilizations in the TRAPPIST system. And I would just challenge her, like, where did they say that? They never said that.
That's what could happen. And then from there, biological signature would then be debated and analyzed and talked about, scientists and news around the planet. And then they would either decide that they would then open up more information about actual civilization
stuff,
or just leave it biological signature.
But it's interesting that she sort of surrounds her fake story with some real or verifiable things, like the James Webb Telescope looking for exoplanets, trying to detect signatures of water, liquid water, and things like that. She coats her fake story with a little bit of actual science or verifiable truth. And that's in order to make it more believable. But the parts of the story that she has tacked on, like they detected a intelligent civilization, there's no verification for this. There's no information to support her claims, except maybe one of her imaginary friends told her that, and she's just repeating this.
For another year or so, while they keep trying to, what should we say, Jimmy, at this point?
And don't you think that Jimmy Church has a responsibility to cut in there and say, well, Linda, where are you getting this information from? The people in charge of the Webb telescope have never said we've detected intelligent bases and intelligent species around TRAPPIST. They never said that. And so he just has to keep his mouth shut while she's lying in order to sell his stupid audience this 100% fake story.
It's been so schizophrenic. The sense last year was that the government was finally getting ready through that, what now is called Arrow office.
Yeah. Numbers are looking rough lately, Jimmy Church.
At least open up a lot more about pilot interactions with things that were doing physical speeds, stopping on a dime, 90-degree turns. Humans cannot do that.
Oh,
and
again with the 90-degree turns. And Patty Wilhelm, I explained at the beginning of the broadcast that I had to go. Well, I didn't have to go. My wife threw me out to go to the cabin. Everybody at my house is sick, including her. She took some time off to take care of the children. So I'm here at the cabin. I need all the daylight I can get. So we're pushing the shows back to 7 p.m., which is around the time that it gets dark here. But I need as much daylight time as possible in order to work on that new land over there during the days. Yeah, that's a mannequin of church. Yeah, it might as well. You could have just put a mannequin and just threw in a voiceover every once in a while. Linda. Oh, great, Linda. Great story, Linda. You could talk about phoning it in, right?
Lou Elizondo and others described the observables that included that.
Yeah, and now Lou Elizondo is making fake UFO videos in his backyard that display none of the 5 observables. And he lied to everybody in the New York Times. The New York Post just reported that he had no responsibilities and ATIP wasn't an official program. It didn't exist. So what we get is another disclosure messiah lying for profit. And she's going to quote him.
Going 12,000 miles an hour, stopping in the air.
Yeah, there's stories of things going 12,000 miles an hour, but unfortunately we never get the proof or data that they were actually going at 12,000 miles an hour. Where are the radar tapes? They don't exist.
Humans cannot do that. Or going 12,000 miles an hour and then doing a 90-degree turn. Humans cannot do that.
No, but drones can do that. And this reminds me of Eric Weinstein, who correctly pointed out that all of these UFO people love to say that there were craft that were breaking the laws of physics or defying the laws of physics, or we don't have that kind of technology. But nobody ever proves the claims of, like if something really is doing 12,000 miles an hour and stopping on a dime, yeah, that would be newsworthy, right? But where are the radar tapes? Where is the sensor data? Where is the proof that that actually happened? We don't have proof. What we have is eyewitness testimony and stories that are unverified, uncorroborated, unproven, unevidenced.
And those are multiple observables of the UFO phenomena for since at least World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So we are right now in March of 2023.
Yeah, and now she's going to give her disclosures just around the corner. All these things are happening behind the scenes speech that she has given since the 80s.
Still in a planet that humans are fighting each other in the terrible Ukraine. Technologies are available and hidden that have been provided through our relationship
you can't even
with
get a word in.
non-humans like the tall whites and the Nordics and the grays.
Yeah, they would.
And we thought,
Aliens,
I thought,
couple.
surely this will happen. They will open this up in April of 2023, and we will have a biological signature.
That's exactly
and
what's going on, Charles.
All humans who have had straightforward experiences with other beings can begin to slowly be heard as credible ear witnesses, eyewitnesses, and we will be introduced to allies, and we will finally join this universe in where the brain of a human and a galaxy and a universe are made to resonate with each other.
Yeah, the big announcement, the big disclosure announcement is coming soon. She's been saying this since the 1980s.
Roger Penrose, I know, would agree with that statement. Instead, it feels like something is retracting again. It feels like we are coming up into April with everything should have been a go to at least get out the information that would lead to.
Oh, yeah, the men in black are stopping the announcement of alien disclosure and discovery of human-like civilizations in other planets, exoplanets, and the James Webb Telescope is covering it up, and NASA's covering it up, and every astrophysicist and every scientist on Earth is part of a great grand conspiracy to cover up the truth about those aliens. Again, there's no evidence to support this. This is research by proclamation.
There's 168 civilizations that just at this end of the Milky Way galaxy is what I understand.
Right.
And if we come up again to another screeching halt, like the man, Smith Jones at Upper Hayford, he and two men are just a few yards underneath a huge triangle. All three know that it was there. They saw the whatever.
Yeah, she has 3 witnesses to this tremendous UFO event that she somehow connects to Rendlesham Forest, but we can't have the names of those people. It's just, trust me, dude, they told me the story, and it's true. And this is ridiculous, and this is childish and stupid. So we're up to, I think, 3, 4, 5 anonymous sources that she has cited for this information that she's sharing on Jimmy Church's show. And Jimmy Church hasn't bothered to point out that everything that she has said, we're an hour and 15 minutes. Everything that she has said, this woman has said, in an hour and 15-minute interview was all attributed to anonymous sources that no one else is allowed to know the name of, vet, fact check their military credentials, everything that she said in this hour and 15 minutes has been attributed to anonymous sources, right? She mentions the name of somebody. We can try to look him up and talk to him, but I'm not hopeful that we're going to find that he is the person she's discussing. So 5 anonymous sources I think we're up to in an hour and 15 minutes. That's an awful lot of trust me, dude, with your alien stories, Linda. Why don't you release the names so that other researchers can interview them, talk to them, and vet their claims, vet their military background, find out if they really are who they're telling you they are. But we never get that. We get, trust me, dude, this is a true story because my anonymous imaginary friends told me it's true.
You want to
Trust
call
me,
it the
dude.
electrostatic material that was going on the bottom. They knew that there was not one sound, that this craft just like popped in. Those men, those women who have been in those situations, so many of them, hundreds of them that have communicated with me and continue to communicate, and I have to protect them.
Oh, that's why they're anonymous. She has
are
to
we
protect
having
their
to
sources.
protect the truth and truth tellers? Why can this not be the spring?
Yeah, of course I do.
When they
I believe
finally start
that there's
telling
unidentified
the
flying
truth.
objects.
And that's why none of this is woo-woo, Jim.
Yeah, I absolutely believe in unidentified flying objects because there are objects in the sky that remain unidentified probably every day on Earth. The problem that I have is people jumping to aliens without sufficient evidence or proof that there is actually an alien civilization either visiting or surveilling Earth. All these people make that jump without sufficient evidence. And by the way, I think it would make the world an incredibly cooler place if tomorrow we got confirmation of an alien species or civilization visiting Earth. I would love that. So I'm not opposed to the idea, but what I'm opposed to is grifters who make tens of thousands of dollars making the jump from UFO to alien without providing any, let alone overwhelming evidence. They don't have any evidence that it's alien civilizations. They got a lot of stories from anonymous sources. They got a lot of, trust me, dude, you know, and this is the problem that I have. And the fact that people are profiting to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars for decades-long careers of regurgitated stories from anonymous sources is absolutely ridiculous. And in my opinion, her making tens of thousands of dollars or more selling provably fake stories and saying that they are true is a form of consumer fraud. She is defrauding the public. And her books are filled with the same kind of nonsensical stories without sufficient evidence or proof, though she does do a good job of trying to fake the evidence and fake the stuff, or great, just repeat stories that people have told you without corroborating witnesses, without, it's very shaky. And I truly believe that her selling 100% provably fake stories, especially in the cases of these fake alien pictures, is a form of fraud. She made tens of thousands of dollars telling people that this picture off a goddamn video game cover was a real alien picture taken on the moon. She made thousands of dollars selling that story. It's provably 100% fake. She made thousands of dollars on the orange gray alien story. It's provably fake. Give the money back. You defrauded the public. You lied to everyone for money. I think that's wrong.
No, none of it is woo woo. It's never been woo woo.
I use woo as a blanket to cover everything. But if we go back to my question, which I'm not going to do, I don't want to
care.
No. I want to stay right where we are because a few things did happen this week that I found very interesting. Oh. One, we have
now we're gonna get Jimmy's analysis of what's really going on, as if a guy who has been pushing and promoting UFO scammers for decades has some secret knowledge or insight into what's really going on, right? What the real truth is, right? Jimmy Church has been hosting scammers scamming people for decades. He works the conferences that all the scammers work, right? But he's going to give us his analysis now.
Great. The paper written by Avi Loeb and Kirkpatrick about, and the thing is, the thing that they stated in there, and I just really am perplexed. It's not the statement about a mothership dropping off probes. That's pretty, and for Avi to write that.
Yeah, no, it's a hypothetical anyway.
You have to ask the most important question, which is why? What is Avi basing this on? He's a very smart guy. He doesn't just...
Yeah, he's a very smart guy, but he got a 100% wrong. And he made tens of thousands of dollars telling people that a space rock, essentially a comet, was an alien mothership or alien probe of some sort. Turns out that's not really the case, right? But hey, he said some other stuff about aliens we like, so let's pump that in.
Just write stuff to write it.
He has people coming to him like I have people coming to me that are frustrated, and they know we are in a universe that is full and teeming with other consciousness.
Correct.
And that they are trying.
If you could be the scientist that brought forth 100% proof of other intelligent life in the universe, you would be in the history books. You would be rich. You would be famous. Right? Why would he withhold that? Why would he not give us the evidence or proof? Unless he doesn't have evidence or proof, he has hypothesis, which hypothesis is fine to have, but hypothesis should be part of an experimental process in which you prove your hypothesis is true with data, with research, with, investigatory skills, and you prove your hypothesis is correct. But to just throw out a hypothesis and never prove it has no value.
To find how do we crack it open without causing hysteria in some populations and boredom in other populations, because there are going to be so many people that you and I know who will say, I told you so.
Yeah, I know. Exactly right. Exactly right. So we had that this week. We'll circle back to it. I'm not going to let that go. But number two, just yesterday, James Webb, the team there announced it's not the first biosignatures that they have discovered, but it was the most on a single planet to date. They found 5 biosignatures on one planet. I don't have the name of the number designation.
Yeah, because why would you have actual facts or evidence to support your arguments? I read it somewhere. It must. Yeah, they with the Webb telescope they can detect, like I said, the presence of things like oxygen or carbon dioxide or perhaps liquid water, right? But that's a huge jump from that to there's alien bases on those planets. That's what Linda is saying. So Jimmy's going to bring in some real or verifiable information that he thinks will bolster her fake story somehow.
Of the planet in front of me, but they found water, they found oxygen, they found carbon monoxide,
Right,
and
but a biosignature is something that would tie it directly to biological life. You're
That-
talking about ingredients for biological life.
that is
They
correct.
reported that. I'm talking about reporting biological life.
But isn't it exciting, Linda?
Yes.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah, it's exciting for alien grifters.
the way that Linda and I are talking right now, this is how we do it over champagne late into the night. This is not some Jimmy and Linda. No, this is how Linda and I just talk. And we're doing that tonight. But Linda,
Yeah, this is how we grift together.
isn't that exciting to have those five? So the system
Well, and maybe that is going to indicate that they're finally going to open this up using the web exactly as it was described to me a couple of years ago.
right.
And what a great thing if they would do it. Oh my God. To give
Yeah, so she's been telling stories about the James Webb cover-up since it was launched, essentially, and has yet to prove that they're covering anything up. In fact, when they have new data to share that is verifiable data, they do so. And there's various news stories of that.
give this whole planet more hope. Right now, doesn't the planet feel like it's being sucked into a timeline with the Ukrainian and the China and Russia, and that everybody is worried
That's
we're
right.
going to have a nuclear war on this planet, as insane as
Yeah,
that would
champagne
be.
that somebody else paid
And there's
for.
something
Yes,
about
stupid people paid for it.
talking with scientists.
These two clowns are selling fake stories, and they're drinking champagne from the money that they make selling fake stories. Great,
Looking
great optics.
at the web, they're finding that there are atmospheres around planets, and what if they do and can?
And could you imagine if they were honest with each other? Man, we did a great job pushing these fake stories with all these anonymous sources tonight. Pop that champagne. Let's celebrate.
Report a
We made a lot of money from stupid people tonight.
biological signature. Could that completely change this feeling that we're being shut in and taken down to a nuclear war just because of testosterone people who want to fight with nukes?
Right. It's
Yeah. As if all the wars on planet Earth would just stop if we found out about intelligent life on other planets, because we would realize we're all part of the human race, and we can all sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya together. No, I don't think that the announcement would it change people's attitudes. I think so, but I don't think an announcement of intelligent species of aliens on other planets somewhere in the universe would stop wars on our planet. Right? If anything, we'd probably go invade them. Right? We are a warlike species.
It's not going to happen. I believe that our ET brothers and sisters would step in. Number one, they need us to evolve, and we can't evolve if we blast ourselves back in the Stone Age. So I just don't believe. And the other thing is, I just think that cooler heads are going to prevail.
Well, may I ask you a question that bothers me?
Sure.
Why do you think
You're
over
correct,
the
Rick.
last 45,000
And
years,
thanks for being a
when
member.
Neanderthal cross-faded to Cro-Magnon Homo sapiens sapien,
Oh, she said it.
and
Homo
now
sapiens
we have Homo
sapien.
sapiens sapien that is evolving, and now we are at 2023, and we are the current crop of Cro-Magnon Homo sapiens sapien.
Oh, she did it
Why
again.
during that whole period of
Homo
the last
sapiens sapien.
45,000 years? Why were humans
Sorry,
kept
trying to find my phone
separated from the truth of a conscious, vast universe filled with other life forms?
I don't
What
agree with
was,
that.
yeah, what was to be gained by power brokers
Yes.
that were ETs like the Anunnaki on this planet?
here.
Right.
And again, she's pushing that Anunnaki created humans by manipulating our DNA. And again, this is unproven hypothesis, unproven theory of one Zechariah Sitchin, who was really sorely educated in ancient languages and mistranslated many of the Sumerian tablets that he claims prove that aliens came here and created humans.
Mixing and matching DNA, creating a whole bunch of different species. And when they made Cro-Magnon Homo sapiens sapien, somebody decided they are not to know anything about other life forms. They will look at us as angels. They will look at us as something that is not earthly.
Yeah, these big statements, and again, no evidence or proof of that, just stories from a guy who made a living selling stories of ancient aliens.
And once that began, we are now the inheritors of a.
Doesn't anybody else think that, we have geneticists, we have scientists on planet Earth who know an awful lot about DNA? Does anybody else think that maybe if there were signatures of DNA manipulation in our past that we'd be able to detect that? I do, and we don't. So why is that? Is it because these stories of the Anunnaki creating human beings are just that? Stories, myths, creation myth, just like the Garden of Eden?
A very strange editing all of the history of humanity. Why were we never told then? And why is it so difficult now to just tell what seems like an obvious truth?
Yeah,
That the universe is full of life.
It's a great question, but I don't agree with you. And so I'll answer the question and let me explain. All right. I believe that until very recently, in the last couple of thousand years, and probably the last 100 years, but up until that point, I think that we got along. I don't think that there were any barriers between us and ET. And the reason is this. If you go back to 5,000 years ago, Linda, 3,000 years ago, and you have your little
I'm getting dumber just listening to this clown.
village, and somebody comes over from another village that you've never seen before, and they make the 50-mile trek, you have met somebody new, a new culture. And that's what, and when something came out of the sky, it wasn't from space. It wasn't ET. It was just somebody new to meet. And I don't think that there were barriers there. I don't think that there was any angst. It was just something new, and everybody was discovering stuff. It was only until very recently where
I'm definitely getting dumber listening to this clown.
This blockade of knowledge has started. And I would probably be very confident in saying that it started in 1947. And
because of Roswell, sure.
Long before that, Hitler was talking about Aldebaran extraterrestrials helping him in the 30s.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And where did she get that information from? She got that information from the Nazi girl. The Nazi girl who was a reincarnated SS Nazi general told her that Hitler was talking about Aldebaran, aliens from the Aldebaran system. And what is that girl's proof of those statements? Well, I was a reincarnated SS general, right? I was a Nazi SS general, and I knew Hitler in a previous life. And he told me these things, and Linda's just repeating these things as if they are proven, verifiable facts, and they are not.
30s.
Yeah, but he wasn't covering it up. He wasn't.
Oh, I think they were.
Well, possibly, but what I'm just talking about the timeline.
The new Carol
Okay,
Baskin.
so I'm just saying, just until very recently.
Yeah, the new Carol
this is
Baskin.
something. I think that before that. No, I don't think that there was a big deal when
Well,
the Nuremberg woodcuts were.
This is a strange form of entertainment for me. I just watch videos and yell at the computer most of the time, and so now I'm able to do it and entertain people with this. It's interesting. Anthony Peterson with a kind and generous $5 super chat, saying, like the 7 p.m. start time, maybe consider the 7 p.m. start time on part of the future rotation of shows. I still want to believe, and we thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and support. Anthony Peterson, longtime show supporter. We thank you very much for your kindness, generosity, and support, and helping us to praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness, Anthony Peterson. We'll consider it. We'll see how it goes this week. Unfortunately, because it's not our usual time, we're missing like 100 people, but that's to be expected. Maybe if we do it on a regular scheduled basis, we'll get the numbers back.
Done, right? Was there a big freak out on that? No. I just think
I don't know that anybody knows exactly what happened.
I
to
agree with
produce
you,
that
Gunslinger.
woodcut. But let me ask you: do you think that what we have gotten in carved stone,
Hello, Pukli
with the language of the
yes.
Anunnaki and the Sumerians,
yeah, we'll put
the
them back.
description carved in stone is that Enki and Enlil and Anu, they were
just used
and positioned themselves.
For those just joining us, you're watching Truthseekers, and we're going through this cavalcade of bullshit on the Jimmy Church Show. Linda Moulton Howe just cited as a source for her information a reincarnated Nazi Hitler chick. You know, that girl Marina Sarin, who also has an OnlyFans where she will dildo herself for you for $40 while calling your name. That is the source that she is citing here, who told her that Hitler was talking to aliens from the Aldebaran system. That's the quality of her information. Her source is a girl who claims to be an alien hybrid, who claims to have had alien babies, who claims to have been a reincarnated Nazi SS general and also a reincarnated Vril Society girl psychic. That's the source of her information. The same girl who will dildo herself for you for $40. That is the quality of Linda Moulton Howe sources. Nazi girls who have OnlyFans where they'll dildo themselves for $40 for you, right? Great quality of information and sourcing. Great.
As controlling gods.
That's right. Yeah.
And no humans. They argued about the poor chattel humans, and remember, it was the humans were not useful. Enlil wanted to destroy humans, and Enki ends up arguing. And
this is all just Epic of Gilgamesh and Zechariah Sitchin. These are myths.
That is
just like the myths in the Bible of the Garden of Eden and things like that.
The so-called famous war that might have produced the trinitite glass in the Sahara and parts of India that might relate to something that was releasing like an atomic bomb back in the time of the Anunnaki.
Now that is interesting. There are some strange sites around the world with essentially rock that was turned into glass from extremely high temperatures, and no geologist or scientist is really quite sure how that happened. It could have happened from a nuclear blast, but there could be other explanations for that. But the ancient aliens theorists point to that mystery and claim that it is because in our ancient past we had nuclear weapons. They don't prove it. Again, another unproven hypothesis.
The very fact that there would be such a war between Enki and Enlil about humans,
look at that.
It seems to me they were basically saying we don't want the humans to know us at what we are, our level. We just want the humans to do the work for us that we need them to do.
Yeah, but I don't think it was a cover-up.
Yeah, and you also have to remember that Zechariah Sitchin essentially said that these alien races came here to mine gold, as if an advanced alien species would not have spiritually evolved enough to not create or use slave labor, right? Wouldn't they have technology, robots, something to do the work for them, machinery, some sort of advanced technology to do mining for them? No, let's genetically alter these monkeys to be a slave race for us. And then we will have them mine gold, which we are then going to use to repair our damaged atmosphere of our home planet. It's really, really a stretch, if you ask me. Yeah, hi, and we want to thank Paul Tucker for kindly becoming a new member. I don't know if you know this, but if you become a new member during the live broadcast, we shout you out. So there you go, Paul Tucker. You get some extra goodies for being a member. You get some extra videos in the members only section there, and you get a member badge. So everybody knows that you're a member and supporter of the show. Thank you, Paul Tucker, for becoming a new member and helping us to praise the cash. And speaking of praising the cash, we have a very generous $25 from Keith Gardek. And you guys are going to have to bear with me for a moment. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Okay, yeah, it does. I have to make it bigger, so I apologize. I'm having trouble. We're on a laptop, and I'm having trouble without my usual big screen reading. Some of you know I'm visually impaired, so I apologize. Yes, and Keith Gardek says they are both so full of crap that if you gave them an enema, they would both live comfortably in a matchbox. P.S. Your laugh is dangerously close to Ace Frehley. Oh, that's interesting. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be in Kiss real bad. I used to put on the makeup and stuff with a friend of mine from school, right? I was always Paul Stanley. I always wanted to be Gene Simmons, but his mom did the makeup and he wanted to be Gene Simmons. So, but interesting. And thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. And we've also got My Flock is Everywhere with a kind and generous 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, longtime show supporter and channel member. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. We'll see if I can't catch up with the rest of the live chat. Comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. If you're just joining us, we are broadcasting live from the Apocalypse Cabin this week, and we'll probably be doing shows earlier at 7 p.m. so that I can maximize my daylight time outside. The new land where the studio is being built, I will be setting up camp there. We're setting up a tent and maybe an outhouse and a fire ring. We're getting it ready to be able to go over there and work comfortably. I'm still a little concerned about the bears. Today I was there, didn't see any bears, but I did see some red foxes on the trails that I was walking. That's interesting. So if you're just joining us, we are going over the Deceptive Duo, where we have highlighted that Linda Moulton Howe has now used some 5 anonymous sources. And she also used the Nazi girl, Marina Sarin, as a source of information. You know, the same girl that will dildo herself for you for $40 on OnlyFans and talks about the good Nazis and the world being controlled by the Jews. The Jew tube is keeping her down. And yeah, great quality sources.
And they certainly created us. And if you read in one of Sitchin's books, where he translates one of the Sumerian tablets, it says right there, we are going to modify the DNA so we could have Linda Moulton Howe in the year 2023. It's right there. It's on a Sumerian stone.
Yeah, really funny. Yeah. He's basically, Linda Moulton Howe is repeating mistranslated tablets from Zechariah Sitchin.
Cuneiform writing.
And Jimmy Church is too dumb to know that those translations from Zechariah Sitchin are garbage, right? You'd think he would bring that up, like, well, excuse me, Linda, but Zechariah Sitchin was neither qualified nor educated in ancient Sumerian. He wasn't qualified to translate those tablets, so he translated them extremely wrong. And real scholars have proved that his translations are garbage.
But see, here's the thing.
I still want to meet the ETs that are interacting with this planet.
But Linda, I don't think I think history is going to look back and show that you and I and others were right. Yes. In that the age of us which, let's say, the modern version of
Absolutely.
us is 200,000 years old, right? That's what anthropologists are going to suggest today, that we just appeared 200,000 years ago. But
No.
You are
In
correct.
terms of Neanderthal, which was before Cro-Magnon, Homo sapiens sapien,
Homo sapien sapien.
that you can look this up. The crossfade in Neanderthal to Cro-Magnon, Homo sapiens sapien was approximately 45,000 years ago.
yes,
The humanoid form
that's correct. But that
goes back longer.
Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. These are the people that you should be getting your anthropology information from. Two clowns that have been selling fake stories about aliens for decades.
that's correct. But that's
Yeah.
not.
If I want anthropology information, I go to a real anthropology a professor of anthropology, not these two clowns.
My point. So let me get to my point. Then you respond, which is this, Linda, that this number, this 200,000 year number that is thrown around, I think, a little bit too freely. And then you turn around and you read the work of Sitchin and what is on those Sumerian tablets.
And he did not show you what is on those Sumerian tablets. He showed you garbage stories that fit his narrative. You dummy. You don't go to an ancient aliens theorist for history of human history, right? For information on human history. You go to a real expert, right? Somebody in academia, not a wackadoo.
The timelines match. And I don't think that that is a coincidence. I don't. And I don't have a better
The Sitchin stories are true because I wish them to be. It's a garbage argument.
explanation where science wants to say that it was all luck.
By the way, Sitchin also said that the pyramids were weapons. They were interdimensional scalar weapons. What is his evidence of that? There is none. And there have been other people who have taken some of his theories and ran with them and made money off of the back of his unproven, unverified hypotheses based on terrible translations of Sumerian tablets that he was neither qualified nor educated enough to actually translate correctly. And real ancient history scholars have proven that Sitchin's translations were garbage. But that hasn't stopped alien hucksters like Jimmy Church and Linda Moulton Howe from continually repeating his stories as if they were verifiable scientific fact. They are not.
And lightning struck a crystal in a creek and DNA just formed. No, that's not.
It's not true at all.
Exactly. And so I remember hearing Richard Dawkins, I guess I just dropped his name, say those words. And I'm thinking to myself, how can you try to pretend to be an intellectual, a scientist, somebody that's a forward thinker, and say something as stupid as that it was just luck?
Every scientist on Earth is wrong about the origin of human life, about the origin of DNA, about evolution, right? Every scientist on Earth is wrong. And Jimmy Church, the guy who has been hosting UFO scammers for decades, he knows the truth, right? All those scientists are all hiding the true nature of the origin of DNA. But Jimmy Church knows what's true because he's listening to Zecharia Sitchin, right? Who was proven wrong on just about everything that he put forth.
Odds of does he even understand how many digits we're talking about of luck, of odds of something like that happening just by chance? No, there's something else intervened. I don't know what intervened, but something did, and it's that simple. And so
yes, something did intervene. It's called evolution.
When we go back to those, I think that's part of what the cover-up may be. That if it is disclosed, if ET comes down, Linda, and the ship lands and they march down and they go, okay, where's Linda Moulton Howe? We need to talk to her. And so,
Yeah, because intelligent species of aliens from other star systems, the first person they'd want to talk to is a wackadoo like Linda. Sure.
you know, you step up and they go, okay, so this is actually what happened. This, and the government's going to have to answer for that because they probably know all of this.
Oh, of
I don't
course
know.
they do.
Talk to Lou
And this is
from Lou
you're
Reviews.
going right to the whole reason cover-ups for so long,
Thanks, Arden.
and why all of these poor guys like Smith Jones. You keep your mouth shut. You never, if you do, we will take your bank
is
account.
true,
You will
Simon
never
Fry.
have it. All these threats to all these people
Mhm.
is because
Yes,
the
I'm aware.
government of the United States was not in control of anything that the UFO ETs were doing. They caught on that there were abductions. They knew that there were animal mutilations. They knew that there were all kinds of interactions going on with the.
Well, you know what, Archaic Revival, you have to get me in touch with that person. I would love to interview somebody about Sitchin's work that is an actual or real expert.
Earth that they couldn't control, they couldn't stop, that
Guys,
they would
a
have
Death
to
Star,
introduce
yes.
the ETs if they chose at the time when they realized that animal mutilations and human abductions and a whole lot of other things were the work of the ETs. They didn't want to tell humans that. And here's where you get to
Take
where
your
things
advice,
are right
Linda.
now
Yes.
today.
Yes.
What is wrong with
This is
telling
so-
the whole truth as an evolution and not saying,
I swear I get dumber just listening to this woman.
yes, we knew X, Y, and Z 100 years ago, but we couldn't understand how it related to A, B, C. And today they could open up so
Yes, The
many
Last
facets
Starfighter was
that
a
might even
documentary.
relate to new
Man, I
energy
haven't-
sources and all
I
kinds.
haven't thought about that movie in a long, long time. But you know, when I was a kid, I used to play Gorf, the arcade game Gorf, and I would think to myself, if I get really good at this, maybe aliens will come and recruit me to be a starfighter pilot, like The Last Starfighter. That was a great movie. Essentially, some guy got so good at video games on Earth that aliens came and recruited him to help them fight an intergalactic battle with other aliens. Great movie.
Kinds of things that they keep hiding, because if they bring them out, then they would have to
Yeah, I agree,
introduce
Aaron,
the
but-
ETs, and they've been trying to have their cake and eat it too. They want all the advanced technology. They want the advanced weapons. They want the propulsion system. We're going on
I'll check it out,
craft
Elise.
that
Thank
can
you.
go out 50 light years, and that we've had a secret space force that's been doing that. And if they tell everybody the whole truth,
Yes, please do.
some
Archaic
people think
Revival.
it's too much of a
Take one
shock
for the
to
team.
the human system. I argue truth in and of itself is healing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
well,
definitely at that
here's the
point now.
problem.
I think that most.
The problem is that her truth is basically a delusion. It's not truth if you cannot prove it's true. Linda and many, many other people I have witnessed in the so-called UFO community are essentially living in a fantasy land where the government has aliens and they're covering it up, and we have crashed, retrieved flying saucers and alien technology, and aliens created the human race by genetically manipulating early Homo sapien sapien, right? It's all a delusion. It's not, the truth is healing. You mean the delusion that you live in is healing? Because these people are truly delusional. The amount of mental gymnastics you have to do, you have to ignore that Sitchin was a crackpot that wasn't able to actually translate anything. You have to ignore so much and do all these mental gymnastics in order to believe what you want to believe. It's just not supported by facts, not supported by science, not supported by evidence. But hey, it's a fun delusion. It's a fun fantasy land to live in.
Most of us, as our ability to understand continues to grow, right?
Yeah.
That I think most of the planet knows that there is, I'm going to use a bad word, there's a
Yes,
shit
it
ton
is.
of life out there, right? And it's all over the place, Linda. And here's
Just
the,
say the universe is teeming with consciousness.
it is, it absolutely is. And then this is the third story I wanted to bring up to you. Talk about exciting times. As you are aware, 2 days ago, it was the Japanese return of an asteroid's. I'm going to say scoops produced amino acids, and not only that, niacin, vitamin B3, and we are talking about.
Yeah, and this is another stupid argument. Like, the building blocks of life on Earth are from the universe. So it is absolutely within the realm of possibility that those building blocks of life would be found on other planetary bodies, comets, other planets, exoplanets, other planets in our solar system. We're going to find similar ingredients to what makes up life on Earth on other planets. The difference is Earth has complex, intelligent life. And so far, we've found building blocks, but we haven't found life.
The ingredients that are needed for RNA. RNA being the redheaded stepchild of DNA. We don't talk about RNA enough. RNA is just as complex and as crazy as important
You're right, Simon.
as DNA.
He's
in
like
that
the crazy
RNA
Aunt
gives
Ethel, right?
DNA its instructions, right? And so without RNA, there's no us. But
That's
what
interesting.
this
I would
has
watch that.
revealed, and we're going to do it again in September when Bennu, Hayabusa 2, from the asteroid Bennu, that'll be in September. And we've already known and have found complex sugars, simple sugars on meteorites before. But now it's turning out that if we go out to an asteroid, we're going to find the building blocks of life on these asteroids that are impacting planets throughout the universe. And I would argue, Linda, this is some of the biggest news in the history of mankind.
We have been finding, when we went to the moon, we found similar elements in the rocks and the sand of the moon that are on Earth. But it's a big jump from that to life.
But number two, I think that it represents that DNA is as universal in the universe as consciousness, that these simple things are deposited everywhere.
The thought occurs to me, how sad is it if you get your science news from Jimmy Church, right? Well, I ran out of scammers to interview, so tonight I'm going to be telling you about recent science news, right? Sad.
And that DNA would be the same in Zeta Reticuli as it is here in our Milky Way and certainly in our solar system. And I think it's a very, very big deal and a big announcement.
Well, and it's like a facet of where we started about the Webb being used to aim at a planet in TRAPPIST.
She probably does.
And talk about the atmosphere of that planet, a watery planet. And then breaking news, biological signature. What is going to be the definition of those words, biological signature? And so one story and what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is the whole argument that they're trying to make is they have a pre-existent belief that aliens are out there, aliens are visiting Earth. So let's cherry pick anything in the science news that might support that we're telling everybody the truth. It's ridiculous. And it's like apples and oranges, It's a huge jump from we've detected carbon monoxide or oxygen or liquid water on an exoplanet to aliens are visiting us here on Earth.
They're kind of facets of where we could be leading now, that piece by piece, discovery after discovery, with the Webb and what we are doing with exploring in asteroids. That could be what will be used for that big headline, "We're not alone," which is what I hope. And it's the question on the
You're a hater if you burst
right
the delusion bubble. You're absolutely right.
Do the power brokers
100%
feel that
right.
this would be a good time in April of 2023, in a sense, to kind of deflect the world and the energy and the attention that seems to be building up into the China.
I agree,
and
Patty. She
Russia
does do that. She
and
just
the
reads
United
off of science
States,
websites, right?
again, almost on a
Like,
war
I'm a science
footing.
reporter because I'm
Would this
repeating
announcement tend to start reducing that, because news would then start going more and more into, well, what are UFOs? Are
what
there
would be the first thing aliens said to Linda? Probably, you've been lying about us. You've been telling tall tales and lies. You got the whole story wrong. And maybe they'd give her the real story. Who knows, right?
extraterrestrials here? Are there extraterrestrials in a base inside of the Ganymede moon in Jupiter, which there is?
She just said that there's an alien base inside the moon of Jupiter, Ganymede. No evidence, right? She just said, which there is. No evidence, no corroboration, no pictures, no video. Just trust me, dude. There's alien bases inside the moons of Jupiter.
It's like maybe this could release some of that horrible, intensifying energy that is building toward war.
Yes.
And that this alone this year, if we can get this news out into world headlines, could maybe give people everywhere a kind of new spring.
It kind of reminds me, and I agree with you. And I'm going to get to my number 4 here in just a second. It reminds me of Ronald Reagan's speech at the UN.
Oh my God!
Right?
How many times are we going to hear about that speech? Ronald Reagan made a famous speech in front of the UN, and alien hucksters have been using that speech since he made it to kind of imply that Reagan was in on the alien secret and knew that there was intelligent alien species visiting us, and they ascribe all kinds of things to that speech. And really, I believe that what he was talking about is just human cooperation and healing wounds of the past and wars of the past and working together. He was not confirming anything, but the alien hucksters love that speech. You'll hear it in scammers' intros to their shows and things, right?
I'm not talking about an alien invasion, of course, but I am certainly referring to something off planet that would force us into forgetting about our differences and our grievances and bring us together as earthlings and realize that, you know what, we are here together and we are representing. Do we really want, I mean, honestly, for ET to show up here and see us literally firing bows and arrows at each other?
Oh my God, I am getting dumber and dumber just listening to these two clowns.
I mean,
Or nukes destroying this gorgeous, wonderful laboratory planet.
I'm embarrassed with that. You know how it is when you have people come over to your house. Well,
yeah,
maybe
the Reagan
not you,
speech has been twisted for years.
People come over and they surprise visit, and you've got dirty dishes in the sink.
I agree, Val.
Right? And how embarrassed you. Well, that's what I'm kind of embarrassed for our planet right now. That I know that we're much better than this. I just know that. I know that deep down.
Yeah, a guy who has been pushing alien and UFO and secret space scammers for decades is going to lecture us on the pitfalls of humans, like humans being flawed, right? As if he's not flawed, making a living, deceiving people with other deceptive scammers for decades, right?
We're all pretty much good people. There's a lot of, there are bad apples everywhere.
I think that by and large, people are good people, but some people are scummy. And I'm allowed to think that selling fake stories to, in many cases, vulnerable or mentally ill people is scummy. I'm allowed to think that, Jimmy Church. And what you have done, what you have dedicated your life to, is a scummy endeavor.
But by and large, as human beings, we're pretty damn cool, Linda.
Yeah, isn't it great too? What does he do when he looks in the mirror at night? Like, I did great today. selling stupid people fake stories about aliens with my scam friends, right?
We really are. And I'm just embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for us that we've got some yahoos on this planet that
I'm
really
embarrassed
want
that
to
I'm
make us
listening to
look,
this
you
clown.
know, like doofuses. And we're not. I just don't think we're that way.
Well,
Yeah, he's a
Reagan,
science
you
expert.
have to also add this, because this is
Oh,
the
Reagan had
context
his
in
own
which he
UFO.
spoke at the UN.
This is not the context in which he spoke, but she's going to say he saw a UFO once, so he was talking about aliens when he did that speech.
He had been given a briefing by his new CIA director, Casey.
And she's talking about a fake document. Well, unverified document. Nobody can verify that that document is true or real or accurate, in which a government official briefed President Ronald Reagan on different alien species. This is an unproven, unverified account and document that was refuted, at least by an archivist that I talked to at the Ronald Reagan Library, right? But hey, don't let the fact that a document is likely fake that was just leaked on the internet get in the way of a good fake story you could sell.
At Camp David in March, after he had been elected, about UFOs and ETs. And I've done a whole...
By the way, I think that fake document was leaked by Richard Doty, because many of the descriptions of the alien species that were in that document, Richard Doty had previously said very similar or the very same things. And we do know that Richard Doty has released fake alien documents in the past in the form of the Serpo documents and more. So essentially, Linda Moulton Howe might be just repeating fake stories that were floated on the internet from a paid government disinformation agent.
Presentation about it, and have talked with people. I've talked with one man who he knew a colleague who was there at this meeting and said,
"Oh, a sixth anonymous source. That's the prover maneuver. When you really need to prove a fake story is true, just invent an anonymous source or imaginary friend that you can say told you verified the story is true. And that will somehow help sell the story if anybody's on the fence, right? Like, well, if you don't believe this story is true, I have a source, another anonymous source who told me he was there during this Ronald Reagan briefing. Great. What's his name so we can interview him? What's his name so we can fact check and vet that he was at Camp David on the date and time that you claim this briefing of Ronald Reagan took place? Well, I can't tell you. I have to protect my sources. Yeah. Isn't that convenient? I think we're up to 6 anonymous sources she has cited so far, and we're an hour and 38 minutes in.
That you're reporting the truth. The context.
Yeah. So an anonymous source contacted her and told her that story you're reporting on is true. Again, can we get his name, phone number? Can we vet him? Of course not, because it's another imaginary friend of Linda Moulton Howe and the Trust Me Dude school of research, right? Research by proclamation and imaginary friends.
Giving Reagan information about the 5 different types of ETs included that trontoloid, the 5th in the bottom of the list, TR.
Yeah, and the trontoloids are a species of alien more or less invented by Richard Doty. To the best of my knowledge and research into the troglodytes, the first person to talk about them, publish anything on them, or anything was Richard Doty. And that species of alien that Richard Doty more or less invented was in this document she's citing. So is she citing Richard Doty here? I believe she is.
Trantaloid, trontoloid, defined for Reagan as a tremendous threat, an insect at Epsilon Eridani, only 10.5 light years from Earth, very close. And that these insects, they had learned from other ETs that they were dealing with, the archeloids and the quadloids and others that would include the Nordics and the tall whites.
Oh, and the tall whites came from Charles Hall, who lied about his education, who lied about being in the Air Force to sell the story of the tall white aliens in some 5 for-profit books. And if you were to fact check Charles Hall, you would find out that he was never in the Air Force like all of his books claimed. His whole story starts with, when I was in the Air Force. He was never in the Air Force. So essentially, Linda Moulton Howe right here is quoting a paid government disinformation agent in the form of Richard Doty and Charles Hall, a stolen valor fraud who was never in the Air Force but claimed he did and met tall white aliens while he was in the Air Force. But he was never in the Air Force. And so these are the things that Jimmy Church has to ignore in order to help Linda sell these 100% fake stories, right? And what is her source of information about this Reagan briefing? An anonymous document posted to the internet that real or verifiable sources dispute is a real document or that meeting ever took place.
That these insects.
And in fact, we could go to the Ronald Reagan Research Library, the Ronald Reagan Library. You know what? We're going to do that. We're going to get that document, and we're going to once again contact the archivist at the Ronald Reagan Library. We're going to get Ronald Reagan's itinerary and see if the dates even matched up, because the people who support that fake document are claiming that he was at Camp David right after being elected, and that's when he was briefed. Well, every minute of the president's schedule is kept in records at their presidential libraries. That story falls apart like a house of cards, like all of Linda's fake stories. Her so-called evidence is so weak, it cannot withstand the least bit of scrutiny.
Insects are a threat, that the insects are a threat everywhere.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that
those
they
evil
wanted
insect
Reagan to know about this ET threat. And then
evil insects.
it appears that since that briefing with Reagan, somebody made a decision that everything having to do with UFOs and ETs and other threats and all of it had to go underground and not be discussed. But he gave that speech at the UN, and he was referring to it. If we had a threat from outer space.
Yeah, so you connect a completely fake document about Reagan being briefed with aliens to something he really said. Again, the prover maneuver.
To this planet, wouldn't it bring us all together? We're not talking about just the insects.
Yeah, in order to make this story work, then, she has to use a known paid government disinformation agent's information. She has to use a stolen valor fraud who was never in the Air Force information. And she has to just, trust me, dude, that document is real and that meeting really took place, even though people familiar with Reagan's career dispute that. And an anonymous source also told her that he was at that meeting. That's an awful thin layer of so-called evidence. But this is what these people do. Connect the dots that aren't really there, you know, and this is how easy it is to fool people who really want to believe this. You just put in, and you know, the fact that the evidence that she's citing here is such garbage should prove to you that the whole thing that she's saying is likely fake, right?
We're talking about a universe that is teeming with life, that there might be 168 different solar system civilizations at just this end of the Milky Way galaxy. Mm-hmm. And if only one of them, if the insects are the ones that everybody else is worried about, I've been told by 2 people who have
check it out. Thank you,
worked
Anthony Peterson.
in the Pentagon.
Oh, 2 more.
They have said
2 more anonymous
as
sources.
long as the tall whites and at least one of the types of Nordics, they are so advanced, as long as they have taken a vested interest in helping us, the insect.
2 more anonymous sources. We're up to 8 anonymous sources she has used during 1 2-hour interview. And I would just submit to anyone within the sound of my voice that if you can't speak intelligently and argue your arguments without using 8 anonymous sources in 2 hours, then your sources are probably shit. And your stories are probably shit. You need 8 anonymous sources to back up your claims. 8 anonymous sources in 1 hour, 40 minutes. You used 8 anonymous sources.
X are not going to defeat them. that we already have a protection. Why can't that be announced to the planet as one complex introduction, just as Reagan said in the UN, that we have allies? We had allies before
Oh
we
my
ever
God.
were.
So we're up to 8 anonymous sources. We've used 8. She's used 8 anonymous sources. She's used a paid government disinformation agent twice, and she's used a Fowler fraud.
That's right. And the speech at the UN, that wasn't
that's
the
weird.
only time Ronald Reagan gave that speech. He gave
right.
it 8
3
times.
times.
No, 8.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew of 3.
8. Oh, I just taught Linda Moulton Howe something.
Yeah.
I don't know that he gave that speech 8 times. I'm aware of the UN, but I'm not aware that he gave that 8 times. I'll have to fact check that.
But before I let you go, what a great celebration tonight. Commercial free. Just a
Oh, you weren't selling coffee every 5 minutes, and he wants to be like praised for that, right? I think that he was forced to change his show formats because he literally had more airtime of commercials than he did of a show. At least in my opinion, I could be wrong on the actual numbers, but it was a ridiculous amount of buy my shit, buy my shit, buy my shit every 5 minutes, right?
Conversation between friends. Amazing conversation, Linda. And I can't. Champagne's on me next week.
Okay.
And
let's hope, you guys, for all of us, for the whole planet, for all 8 billion souls,
oh my God,
that there is a decision. I hope it's April 23rd, that the government is going for.
Oh, everybody remember that date. We're supposed to get confirmation of advanced alien civilizations from the James Webb Telescope on April 23rd. And come to this conference I'm at.
They're just going to announce Webb is showing a biological signature on the 4th planet of the
It depends, too, on how you define biological signature. Is detecting the presence of oxygen a biological signature? I guess. Is detecting the presence of liquid water a biological signature? Yes, but that's not what she means here. She means aliens.
TRAPPIST-1 system, 7 Earth-like planets, and that's the open. That's the beginning.
I got to tell everybody, I asked Linda out on a date earlier today. She turned me down. straight up turned me down. She said, "No, Jimmy, not gonna do it."
I've got to. My time. I have to focus on all the people who.
Boy, imagine how desperate for female companionship you have to be to want to go on a date with this old broad.
Want to tell me their firsthand stories.
Don't throw me under the bus, but she turned me down. But Linda, okay, so we've been talking about biosignatures. Now let's talk about technical signatures. And
again,
James
Jimmy Church
Webb
is a
set up
science
for
expert,
this
right?
too as well. Now, looking through an exoplanet's atmosphere and observing and how this is done with.
Oh man, 1 second. I have to put it in a new window because somehow it got disconnected from my browser to a separate browser window. 1 second, please. We'll. Oh no. I lost my place now. 1 second, friends. Let me just get this queued back up. Okay, we're at 1 minute 45. Let me get that queued and we'll share screen again. If you're just joining us, we are doing a rare early show today. We want to thank all of you for being here. We want to thank our kind and generous benefactors. We want to thank Spooky for the graphics. We want to thank Mr. Ian for being the voice of the golden voice of Truthseekers. And we want to thank you for being here and joining us. We got great attendance tonight, even though we are not at our usual time. But thank you all for finding us anyway. I'm glad to see it.
Publicly tonight. They have all told me the same thing, that the James Webb
Now we got Jimmy Church using anonymous sources, right? A few people have told him the same thing. So Linda was up to 8 anonymous sources. Now we've got Jimmy Church chiming in with 2 anonymous sources. We're up to 10 anonymous sources. Trust me, dude. Somebody told me this.
group is international. This is not a United States thing.
No,
And
that's right.
if they find a text signature, if
Gonna
they
get caught up in the live
find
chat as
something
well
as biological that would tip the scales,
No,
that
I don't think so.
the United States won't be able to cover it up, and that
And if there
they
was,
will
I wouldn't
go
be
public
online.
with this. Do you
Let's
believe do you believe that to be true?
I don't know. I think that the political fractures on the planet.
Yeah, so he's claiming that anonymous sources told him that they found technological signatures on different exoplanets. No evidence of that. No stories about that in the real news. Just trust me, dude. Somebody told me, right? And by the way, Mike, we have had a lot of stuff in the cabin. Sometimes the kids leave the door open. One time, a raccoon just came in while we were eating dinner. Just walked right in, and we were sitting at the table eating dinner, and a raccoon just came in like he smelled dinner. But we've never had a bear in here. Not yet. Never had a bear inside the cabin. We've had raccoons, squirrels, mice, of course, chipmunks. We had somebody's stray cat wander in here once, or maybe a neighbor's cat, but no bears.
Right now are so serious in so many directions. I hope that the scientists would prevail for honest reporting. And one thing to keep in mind also,
Yeah, this woman's talking
we
about
have
honest
lights
reporting
in cities
right?
on the surface of the earth.
Ooh.
But I know that the tall whites inhabit
talking
a
about
base
honest
that has been
reporting.
described to me as amazing inside of Ganymede.
Oh, yeah, there's a base inside a moon of Jupiter. What's her evidence for this? Trust me, dude, another anonymous source.
And there have been other sources who have talked about how so many
There you go.
ETs, they will
Other
have
sources.
huge bases that are inside. They have learned how to have a compatible relationship with a variety of
Oh my
planets and
gosh.
moons by
Yes, and isn't it convenient that those bases are inside moons so nobody with a telescope can see them, right? Kind of like her imaginary friends and anonymous sources. Nobody can see them either.
being based inside, which then helps with anything that would be incoming, whatever the relationship with the sun.
Right.
And so it may be that at TRAPPIST, maybe one piece of one planet, that maybe there would be lights, but if there aren't, that doesn't mean that the planet or planets could have advanced intelligences inside of them. And it isn't just TRAPPIST, it's all the solar systems that the advanced
there's
ETs
aliens everywhere. Yeah, there's
as
aliens
one man
everywhere.
told me a long time ago, he said, the way I can explain it to you, Linda, the way I understand, when they approach any planet for the first time,
Oh my
that
God.
they have huge, gigantic computer
Are we up to 11 anonymous sources now? Now she's got another anonymous source telling her this shit.
technology systems that are analyzing the new, whether it's a moon or a planet that they are approaching, and that they will be able, in this one investigatory pass, they will know where there are huge caverns inside or not. They will know everything about the inside to the outside of the planet or
How
the
is that
moon,
even
because
possible?
that's how they look strategically.
The James Webb telescope cannot see inside planets, you dummy. The James Webb, I'm going to say it one more time. The James Webb telescope cannot see inside planets. So where is she getting this? It's just 100% factually inaccurate information.
At solar systems. And that's really important when it comes to what are they going to announce. If it is a biological signature and they are looking only at the atmosphere of the planet, that's one level. There's going to be many other levels. And if we would get honesty,
Superman X-ray vision,
real
they can see
honesty from
inside.
the scientists on
We're
the
going to see
whatever their
inside the
first
planets
disclosure
with
is.
magic.
It seems to
And
me
see the
that would
aliens.
say
Like, this is the level of just fit whatever you have to make your stories. Oh, there's alien bases inside planets, and the James Webb Telescope is going to see them. How? Magic. Superman's X-ray vision. That's included in the telescope.
set a healthy landscape on which to build more and more honest science. That is my own
honest science. This sounds like honest bullshit.
personal hope. If we start getting headlines after headlines after headlines about biological signatures, then it kind of doesn't it set up like a whole new plane of discussion, and that ETs then come into that as part of the evolution of what we are discovering with the Webb telescope. And to me, that has a different feeling than cold announcement, we're not alone in the universe.
Well, it would give us a reason to.
Again, I just don't understand how you're connecting the discovery of biological signatures or markers on exoplanets of things like oxygen, liquid water, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, to jump to that means there's aliens there. It doesn't, right? But if you live in a delusion bubble like these people, you can make that jump.
To be, right? It would give us hope.
Yeah.
It would give us a reason to look to the future. Right now, with the divisiveness and the fighting and the things that we see going on this planet, aside from actual wars, that is just because we're a little bit bored, and we've been a little frozen in this period of time.
We've been on a planet in which the majority of humans are under the thumbs psychologically.
I'm just getting dumber and dumber listening to these people. It is ridiculous. I don't know. We don't have much further. We're going to make it through. We got 10 more minutes.
Politically, militarily, of a tiny, tiny, tiny group of humans that are the power brokers.
That's right. That's right.
It is not a fair planet at this point.
No, and obviously, the entire frigging planet, every single country, completely locked down.
Now he's a geopolitical expert as well, and a health expert.
Locked in your homes, going stir crazy, going nuts, spending way too much time on social media, picking fights. And I'm talking about the globe. It wasn't one country. It wasn't one city. It was everybody.
And we're talking about pandemic.
And that's completely factually inaccurate because some countries didn't lock down at all. So, okay. But I guess he's just trying to make a point. So, yeah.
Make time.
Yeah. And so we need to come out of this on the other side with a better understanding of not only how to try to start ignoring borders, but differences and things and all of the angst. Let's get rid of it. We have an opportunity here, Linda. And what would kickstart all of that?
Can I insert here?
We're not alone in the universe. That would kickstart it all.
Let me insert here what I've always thought was one of the most powerful paragraphs that any abductee ever said to me. And this was a scientist on the East Coast.
He does have his own gravitational
field. Was pulled up out of his father's car. The whole family was in the car. The father was driving.
Is this anonymous source 12?
Son was in the passenger seat in the front. In the back was his mother, the driver's wife, a sister, and her husband. And these 5 people had been in Manhattan celebrating the younger man.
This is another 12.
Who is the abductee in this.
Another anonymous source.
Not that he knew that at the time, but that's what this leads to. They had been celebrating his 32nd birthday, and he was doing very well, very bright, had started a lab to do water analysis on the East Coast.
That sounds real dirty. Yeah.
And they all at the same time see a pulsing red light in the night sky. It was about 2 a.m.
Name them. Name
And they
these people so that people can fact check your story. Or is this? I think this is anonymous source number 12. And again, I would submit to anyone within the sound of my voice that if you need 12 anonymous sources to talk intelligently and provide arguments for aliens visiting Earth, you need 12 anonymous sources in an hour and 50 minutes, then your stories are probably fake.
Talking about what is that red pulsing light. The father pulls over to the shoulder off the freeway, and the
Another trust
son
me dude story
in the passenger's seat leans forward to look up into the window. He is outside.
She does tell the
He
same
is
ones.
moving rapidly.
She tells the same stories over and over again.
It's now looking back. He sees himself still at the position of looking through the window. He sees his father. He knows his mother and his sister and her husband are in the back seat, but he's moving up and he is in a form that seems to be able to move, to look, to have 360-degree sight. And as he is, then his attention, wherever his attention went, it was
this is
then
one of her
he was aware
stories.
of motion.
Yeah.
And then he
But again,
comes up.
what are their names, right? So that we can verify. She's got people, 3 people witnessed an alien event. Can we interview all 3 of those people and verify this is a real or true story? At least, can we verify that those people exist? Of course not, because this is another anonymous sourced story. How many anonymous sources does she need? Apparently, all of them are anonymous sources.
And said it was just like I suddenly had a relationship, a perspective with this big, huge donut that had red pulsing lights in the middle of it underneath. And I come up.
Maybe she was hungry. Big, huge donuts.
For reasons, he said, I'm not in control of what's happening. I don't know why. I come over the top of the donut. I come down toward the red pulsing lights. I get to the red pulsing lights. And Linda, the next thing I know, there is I can't remember if he said there were 10 or 12, but they were a type of gray with black slanted eyes. They were in a ring, and in the form he is out of.
And again, anonymous sourced stories are nonsense.
Body,
right?
He is coming down right into the middle of them, and I saw the hypnosis session.
And this was from an anonymous source and a hypnotherapy session revealed this story for Linda.
He did with this. It was a Bud Hopkins. Never went public. He never wanted anybody to know who he was publicly.
Yep. So it was an anonymous source from Bud Hopkins, wackadoo, right?
And Bud and I and others always respected that. But Bud did a hypnosis session with him.
Who was neither a hypnotist, nor a hypnotherapist, nor a psychiatrist, nor a psychologist. He was a self-taught hypnotist. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you really need to do hypnotic regression, you want to go to a real or verified hypnotist, an educated person, not a wackadoo that believed in aliens and saw every experience of alien abduction as 100% real. This is her stories. This is her sources. An anonymous source that was hanging out with Bud Hopkins and his alien abductee group, suddenly remembering stories of being abducted by aliens.
And I got to see this scientist on a sofa. His legs, he was pulling his legs up on the sofa and kicking out, saying, I'm trying to stop. He's trying to stop his body from coming down into this ring of these beings that would be like a typical kind of gray with the black slanted eyes. And from that moment, for what must have been, in terms of Earth time, hours, could have been seconds to the aliens, because we're all learning about how they manipulate time.
Sure.
And
another absolute statements. Aliens manipulate time. What's your evidence of that? Somebody told me.
But realistically,
is that going to be anonymous source 13?
It was really hours. And what I'm coming to is that he went into a description of being oriented by these gray scientists about the truth of the universe.
Now we're getting the truth of the universe from an anonymous source who learned it from aliens, but she can't tell us who his name, what his name is, right?
That we are actually in. And this is a paragraph from an interview that I did with him. Quote,
This is an interview with my anonymous imaginary friend that nobody else is allowed to talk to, interview, vet, or check into, or even know if he really exists. I could have just wrote this and made this shit up. But you'll believe it because you're an alien believer and you're stupid.
our universe is paired to another one. And they showed him, like when Betty Hill said that the black-eyed gray took her over to what looked like a hologram, and there were stars in there. And he asked Betty, which one is your planet? And she said, I have no idea. And he said, well, if you don't know where you are, how would you expect me to show you where we are now? And that it was a holographic projection of a section of the universe.
Oh, now we got holographic projectors like Star Trek.
We're with the scientists outside of New York, and he's interacting, and they show him, as he said, three-dimensional, and that he's looking at our universe, and then they showed that it had.
They were on the holodeck.
There was another universe, and that what humans didn't understand is that there isn't just one universe. There are many universes. Our universe is paired to another one. They go together.
The truth of reality, brought to us by an anonymous source who got that from aliens, told him. Trust me, dude.
Two universes, which is completely opposite of this one, whatever that means.
The mirror universe.
That's the skies in the one universe are glowing white with dark suns. Colors are indescribable and iridescent, and time flows to the past. Like a conveyor belt at the moment of death, in our universe, we move through a tunnel into the mirror universe where it is all light. And there, time moves to the past and souls return back here.
Wow.
Our universe.
Wow.
Close quote. Wow. Scientist, East Coast.
Quote, unquote. An anonymous scientist from the East Coast told us.
I love this. I would love to sit down in a huge conference of every extraterrestrial in the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, man.
And have them show us the whole truth.
I want to go backwards. And I'm going to go backwards with Linda next Friday night. She's arriving here in L.A.
Oh, God, he's going to have her on again. And they're working conferences together. Let's grift together. Let's do the alien grift.
We will be I'm going to present.
Oh, yeah, he's going to give her an award for her excellent anonymous sources and bullshit stories. Awesome.
And with the Media Legend Award at the Parapower Festival. That's going to go down.
She's a media legend. The woman sold fake pictures of aliens at least 3 times, you dummy, Jimmy Church. You're going to give her an award for scamming people with fake pictures of aliens 3 times? She's a media legend.
Saturday, April 1st in Santa Clarita, Valencia, same city. The links for Parapod are below. If you're in and around LA, you want to cut.
It's like $300 or $500 to listen to these assholes in a live event. Awesome.
Hang out with Linda and I and crack some.
Is she going to use the same 12 or 13 anonymous sources when you pay $300 to hear her information? Because if she does, that's a problem for me, at least.
Campaign with us. Come on up to Valencia. Come on down to Valencia. The links are below. And come and hang out with us. Linda, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. This has been
liquor clit on the way out, Jimmy.
Fun. And thanks to Tony Sweet for producing the Parapod Festival.
Tony's.
You got to thank that guy getting you the paycheck, booking you to tell your fake stories for big bucks.
Tony's been a part of this community, as you know, for a very long time. And he really, really fights the good fight. And he's just amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tony.
I'm going to contact this Tony and ask him why he's giving out awards to people who got caught selling fake pictures of aliens 3 times and calling them a media legend.
Absolutely. Linda,
And agape hug to you, to Tony, to everybody who's coming. And it's in Santa Clarita.
Oh,
Yep.
boy.
And
A
go
virtual hug from Linda Moulton Howe. My
to
day is
the
complete.
Parapod website. Do you have that?
I do.
And you
I
can
do.
still get tickets.
Yep.
Yeah, buy tickets
The links
to
are
our
below. We've
bullshit
got them throughout
festival.
social media.
All right.
Linda's got it up. So just come and hang out with us. Again, Linda,
She's got
I
a
can't
PhD
believe
in, trust me,
81 trips
dudeology.
around the sun. We're about to celebrate 82. This is just incredible to me.
I want 500 more.
Your-
Learning every ET there is.
Your energy is just infectious. So just safe travels. I'll
Trust
see
me,
you
dude.
in about a
Yeah.
week right here
me, dude.
in Los Angeles.
Oh my
Thank
God,
you
we're
so
gonna
much,
make it-
Linda. Behave and be well, and congratulations.
Thank you. Agape love to you and to everyone.
Oh,
The
God,
very
we're gonna
best,
make it
Linda
through.
Moulton Howe. Now,
Now he's got to give you some other pitch.
thank you. That was straight 2 hours live and no commercials. That's how.
Yeah, he keeps on saying no commercials. Your YouTube channel is monetized. There's commercials in your YouTube videos.
I like to do it with Linda. Come and hang out with us next Friday right here in Los Angeles.
All right, now he's going to play music that may or may not be copyrighted. So we are gonna call it complete. We made it through an entire 2 hours of bullshit from Linda Moulton Howe and Jimmy Church, the deceptive duo, and all they needed was a paid government disinformation agent for a source. And I think we counted 13 anonymous sources for her to tell these stories about aliens. And again, if you need 13 anonymous sources that no one's allowed to fact check, vet, or even know if they truly exist in order to support your alien visitation on Earth arguments, then that's pretty weak. And you're not a media legend. You're a bullshit huckster. You are a huckster of false, fake stories that you claim are real. Now, we have been here, friends, for 2 hours and 13 minutes. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to have a musical guest, and that will allow me to get a liquid beverage. I'm going to get some tea, and I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. We have been here for 2 hours and almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. When I return, we will be taking comments and questions from the live chat. Put your questions or comments for me in all capital letters. Peter says, well done. And we'll take those comments and questions. I do not hear rain or snow or ice on the cabin ceiling, or I should say roof. But normally you can hear that icy sort of, pitter patter. So I'm glad that we made it through without any interruption in our broadcast here at the Apocalypse Cabin. The internet is wonky, and quite often we have power failures. It looks like the universe cooperated with us for once. So we're going to take a quick musical break with my friends Bong and their wonderful song, Those Who Pray. And when we return, we will be taking your comments, your questions, and we will be discussing what we have just experienced. And a quick reminder, sometimes when we take a musical break, a lot of people bounce out, but the show is not over. And we'll be right back after this musical break and maybe a short message about how you could support the show. We're just taking a quick break, and we will be back with more here on Truthseekers. We'll be right back, friends.
Order is the Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like, and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat group during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers.
Oop, there we go. I'm sorry. Things running a little slow here. This old laptop's not doing too good. Need to clean it out. I got a comment that I just wanted to address. Apparently somebody is upset when I said something about crackheads or something like that. These are the kind of comments, right? And listen, if you're a fan of a certain show host who makes fun of people with disabilities, so they got to come up with something, right, to attack me. One observation, Steve, you complain that Goofon makes fun of your disability. Well, numerous times you have made fun of crackheads and speak derogative of crack addicts like myself. I'm in recovery today, but take offense when you diss people who suffer with an addiction to crack cocaine. Addiction is a horrible condition. And Steve, addiction is my disability. Well, I don't recall making fun of crackheads. I recall using the term crackhead to describe some of the people in my old neighborhood who would steal from my vehicle every night or break my windows to get at 50 cents in change left in the center console. Yeah, I call those people crackheads. And I have addiction issues myself. Some of you know that I, have issues with alcohol. So I'm in recovery myself. And when I use the term crackhead, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody with addiction issues. So there you have it. But I think the use of the term crackhead versus making fun of somebody's paralyzed eye is apples and oranges. It's two different things. And if you're in recovery, then I wish you all the best with your recovery. Any addiction is horrible, whether it be, I have a friend, and I used to work with somebody too who was 100% completely and totally addicted to pornography. I used to work with a guy who would watch pornography all day at work, all day long at work while he was doing his reports or doing whatever else he was doing. He would be also watching pornography. Addiction is a terrible thing, whether it's alcohol or crack cocaine or methamphetamines or whatever. I have tremendous empathy for anybody with addiction issues. And you can find various people in my life that I have myself taken to a recovery house, or I have myself got involved in a drug rehabilitation program. So to suggest that I am somewhat not sympathetic or empathetic of people with addiction issues is completely and totally false. But thank you for the comment and trying to compare, try to find some dirt, right? You got to try to find some dirt on me so that people like Goofon, who are literally making fun of disabled people over and over and over again while collecting money, aren't slime balls. Great. And while we're on that, now that clown is running around telling people that I'm posting fake comments from Lou Elizondo on my own videos or something like that. I do not have fake sock puppet accounts. No, I do not have any fake accounts. I don't have fake Twitter accounts. I don't have fake YouTube accounts. I have 2 YouTube accounts, which would be this one, Truthseekers, and my old YouTube account or channel that's under Stephen Cambion. I'm not posting fake replies to my videos. I would not do that. I don't have accounts with which to do that. So more rumors from the goofy one who is busy doing the super chat shuffle, begging people for money so that he could eat, right? He's a piece of shit. And when he has no arguments, right? And by the way, Goofy, we're still waiting for you to show those 2 documentaries to your audience and point out where we were wrong. You got 4 hours plus to go through and tell everybody how wrong we are, right? He hasn't done it yet. He's never going to do it. He's never going to do it. Instead, he's just going to make up shit or send stupid people to complain that I said the word crackhead. My characterization of the word or use of the word crackhead was in description of crackheads who would try breaking in my house. I had a crackhead jump a 6-foot cyclone fence to our yard and steal those solar lawn lights around the yard and then jump back over the fence. That's a crackhead. And I'm sorry if you're addicted, but you shouldn't be stealing from me, not unless you want to get a bullet in your asshole. Because if you trespass on my property to support your crack addiction, I have every right to defend my property and my family. That guy was just lucky that he got in and out before I got out there. And again, if you have addiction issues, I hope you find help. You can Google. There are resources in your area, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. There are groups to help you with. And I'm not sure that I agree with the characterization of an addiction as a disability, because you can choose to put the crack down. I can't choose to not have a paralyzed eye, right? It just is. Or somebody in a wheelchair can't just choose to walk one day. You can choose to put the drink down. You can choose to put the crack pipe down. Though I realize the difficulty in doing that. Addiction is a terrible thing. For anybody to suggest that, I'm nasty or I'm making fun of crackheads. No, I'm allowed to be upset that crackheads made our lives hell while we were living in the city. In fact, crackheads are a major contributing factor to why I had to move out of the city and sell my home and my studio, because the neighborhood was getting infected with crackheads, right? And if you hear that sound, that is the sound of wind whipping through the camp here. And I believe the storm is a few hours late, but it sounds like the storm is beginning. So if I should happen to de-res, we'll just call it the end of the broadcast by the universe. But we'll take some comments and questions before we bounce on out of here. That kind of theft sounds all out feral. Wow. Yeah, they would steal the bricks out of your walls if you let them. They'll steal anything. Break in your car. Every night somebody would try to break in our car. I used to sit on my porch at 3 o'clock in the morning and just to watch the cars, right? And crackheads would come up the street checking every door handle. And if they were desperate enough, crackheads, if all the cars were locked, they would just start throwing bricks through windows to get, like, something that somebody left in their car. I had a GPS stolen 3 times out of my car. And I always mean to, like, take the GPS and bring it in the house with me. But, you get home from work sometimes late, you forget, you leave it in the car. I would wake up and go, oh, I forgot, because I would always put the GPS on the kitchen counter in the little case, right? And if I woke up and I didn't see the GPS, I went, oh, somebody broke in my car and stole it. And 9 times out of 10, when I did that, somebody would break in my car to steal a $25 GPS from eBay. It's ridiculous. And I don't, Maria Rose says, those fans don't appear to investigate anything he says. They accept everything he says is true. He's a pathetic, despicable, unethical, dishonest, mean-spirited person. Yeah, in other words, he's a slime ball. And the fact that he can go on a public live stream and just make up things to turn people, oh, damn it, that guy over there caught us lying and hoaxing again. We caught him lying to his audience for over a year, right? And those stupid people are still over there. Give me some more lies. Give me some more lies, you asshole. Here's some money, right? And then he's got that old grandma bitch over there complaining about me, right? Hey, grandma, I didn't lie to my audience for over a year about third phase not hoaxing things. He did. You are following a liar. Congratulations. And if your life is so desperate, you have to throw super chats at somebody so you can have a friend in life, I feel terrible for you. In fact, I feel terrible for everyone dumb enough to listen to that guy. What is he an expert on? Faking shit? Lying and doing the super chat shuffle? Congratulations, loser. Right? All right. Mike, we think they are all full of BS, but try to get Steve to do shows on a lot of them. Steve will eventually get around to all of them. Plus, I joke with him about it. Yeah, I get it. Sometimes people are still believing certain things. Do I like the aliens? Of course I like aliens, or I wouldn't have a show centered around these things, right? Smoke crack with me merch. Yes, that will be new. And by the way, today I have my Life is Better at the Cabin hoodie on, but underneath this, I do have one of our shirts. There is merchandise for our show now available. You can try the Amazon link. It's in the description of this video. But if Amazon won't ship to your country, come back and use that second link, the Redbubble merchandise store. And you too can support the show and get some swag, some merchandise, right? Nick Diaz says, what kind of temperature are you dealing with currently? It's, I think it's like 35 outside right now. And in fact, it's starting to get very cold in here. Earlier it was 45 or something. So I had a low, slow going fire in the other room, but that has gone out. Generally, when the weather is like this, 30s, 40s, I don't leave the fire going 24/7. It'll cook us out of here. I just start one in the morning, warm up the place, and let it slow burn. And then at night, like right about now, I would start another fire and let that go until I fell asleep or went to sleep. I'm hoping to get to bed early tonight. I like this early show. I hope you guys enjoyed it earlier than usual time. But this is necessary this week so I could get some things done in the daylight, right? Yeah, I can't say I disagree, Mr. Flores, right? Bobby Broadway is here and says, I too am a gray alien. but I leave room for just being disinfo because he never seen one, but has seen craft. Okay, if you say so, right? Yeah, and I guess Vampire Hunter, I don't know what that's about, right? Who is legit? Well, there are some good researchers out there, people like John from the Black Vault. I like Jeremy Rise, alien scientist. But the number of people that I find to be legitimate, good sources of information on these strange and esoteric topics, I can count on one hand. It's actually sad. There's thousands of people out there talking about these topics, but most of them are grifters in my experience so far. Most of them are grifters, right? And that's unfortunate, but once you realize that, you just have to become a lot more selective in who you choose to listen to. Because me, I don't want to hear fairy tales. So if it's trust me, dude, or listen to me tell you stories about aliens with my 13 anonymous sources, I don't find that to be at all worthy of your time or my time. So it's good to identify those people who are deceptive people like Linda Moulton Howe, like Jimmy Church, the king of platforming less than credible people telling fairy tales, right? I think it's important to identify those people as being less than credible so that we don't waste time on them. And just the same, I think that other people should not waste time on these less than credible people. And you certainly shouldn't give any of them money, right? Like Goofy, for example. He got caught lying to his audience multiple times in the past year, right? He's doing spirit orb hoaxes. He's telling people he has the best UFO picture ever taken in history, and it's a goddamn security camera picture, right? Clickbait out the wazoo, anything to get people to click on his videos and tune into his garbage, where he then lies to his audience. Why should people give a guy like that money? Why should you give a guy like that money to lie to you? Why should you tune in and listen to his opinions on all things UFO? Here's what you need to know. Him and his buddies, Third Phase, have deceptively lied to people for decades, right? Why would you tune in to somebody that's a proven liar on purpose? Why would you send that person money on purpose, right? In a perfect world, that guy would have lost everything the minute that we revealed that he had been lying to his audience, and he was in on some of those. He was in the know, at least, on some of those Third Phase hoaxes where people were sending them 100% fake manufactured illusions of a UFO, and they were using it pretending they were spaceships. And he knew about all of that. He should have lost his entire audience, lost his ability to collect money from people instantly when that happened. He's still holding on. No, he's the liar, right? Just deflect all responsibility for getting caught lying to your audience 100 times in a year, you liar, right? He should be ashamed to show his face anywhere around this topic for the rest of his life. But grifters have no shame, and they also have no other option. They got to keep the grift going at all costs. So what do? Go tell everybody that guy has friends that are pedos, and that might make him a pedo. Go make fun of his disability, make fun of his wife, make fun of his children, make fun of his dead father, right? But the last thing he will do is address the mountain of evidence that we are correct in our assessment that Third Phase of Moon are garbage peddling shit hucksters. And so is he for not acknowledging that. And so is he for continually lying to his audience about the shit peddlers that he supports. Garbage peddlers. So when you think of Goofy, what you should think of is a guy following a trash truck. And Third Phase of Moon are the drivers of the trash truck. And he is following behind, hoping to pick up any scraps of their garbage and make some money. Right? So we did our due diligence today, and I'm glad I almost took the whole week off. I'm glad I decided we got to keep working despite the current circumstances and things like that, we will be bouncing on out of here. But we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We're going to try this again tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I appreciate everybody's attendance tonight, especially because we changed up the times, and I apologize for that, but it's really necessary so that, yes, we are the resistance, Charles. That's right. There is now a resistance to the garbage peddlers, right? Yeah, Third Phase of Moon delivers garbage. They do pick it up. Yeah, yeah. Well, we definitely have kind and generous benefactors. We want to thank our chat room moderators. We want to thank Mr. Ian, the man with the golden voice, and of course Spooky for the excellent graphics. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am going to have a full day of work. I'm going to do a couple hours on this bathroom tonight before I go to bed. Tomorrow I will be at our new property getting that ready to build a studio on. I have a lot to do over there. There's a lot of down trees and things that I'll just be piling up, and we're going to make a brush pile. We're going to make a huge fire pit so we can start burning some of the debris that's laying everywhere and cleaning up the land. And I may get as far as picking a build site. But other than that, I'm going to be also hiking around the area, around the land. I still want to explore what's out there in those woods around the land that the new studio is going to be at. That is going to be a full day tomorrow, but I can't wait. I am really looking forward to it. Some people go to church. I go to the woods, right? I go to the forest, and it's just as spiritually beneficial to me to go spend a day in a forest than it is for a lot of people to spend a day in church. That's my church. In all of God's glory, nature. So we did our due diligence today. We're going to bounce on out of here. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m., live from the Apocalypse Cabin all week this week. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, reminding you tomorrow night, a little earlier again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's all we got for you. Until next time, friends, I'm Stephen Cambion. Good night and God.